If you want safer, predictable, and more stable returns, you invest in large public companies. Or so you might think. Remember, tails drive everything. The distribution of success among large public stocks over time is not much different than it is in venture capital. Most public companies are duds. A few do well, and a handful become extraordinary winners that account for the majority of the stock market's returns. JP Morgan Asset Management once published the distribution of returns of the Russell 3000 index, a big broad collection of public companies since 1980. 40% of all Russell 3000 stock components lost at least 70% of their value and never recovered over this period. Effectively, all of the index's overall returns came from 7% of component companies that outperformed by at least 2 standard deviations. That's the kind of thing you would expect from venture capital, but it's what happened inside a boring diversified index. This thumping of most public companies spares no industry. More than half of all public technology and telecom companies lose most of their value and never recover. Even among public utilities, the failure rate is more than 1 in 10. The interesting thing here is that you have achieved a certain level of success to become a public company and a member of the Russell 3000. These are established corporations, not fly-by-night startups. Even still, most have lifespans measured in years, not generations. Take an example, one of these companies. Corolco, a former member of the Russell 3000 index. It produced some of the biggest films of the 1980s and 1990s, including the first 3 Rambo films, Terminator 2, Basic Instinct, and Total Recall. Corolco went public in 1987. It was a huge success, churning out hit after hit. It did $500 million in revenue in 1991, commanding a market cap of $400 million. Big money back then, especially for a film studio. And then it failed. The blockbusters stopped. A few big budget projects flopped, and by the mid 1990s, Corolco was history. It went bankrupt in 1996. Stock goes to zero. Have a nice day. A catastrophic loss, and one that 4 in 10 public companies experience over time. And Corolco's story is not worth telling because it's unique, but because it's common. Here's the most important part of the story. The Russell 3000 has increased more than 73-fold since 1980, and this is a spectacular return. That is success. 40% of the companies in the index were effectively failures, but the 7% of companies that performed extremely well were more than enough to offset the duds. Just like Heinz grew, but with Microsoft and Walmart instead of Picasso and Matisse. Not only do a few companies account for most of the market is return, but within those companies are even more tail events. In 2018, Amazon drove 6% of the S&P 500's returns, and Amazon's growth is almost entirely due to Prime and Amazon Web Services, which itself are tail events in a company that has experimented with hundreds of products, from the Fire phone to travel agencies. Apple was responsible for almost 7% of the index's returns in 2018, and it is driven overwhelmingly by the iPhone, which in the world of tech products is as taily as tail gets. And who's working at these companies? Google's hiring acceptance rate is 0.2%, Facebook's is 0.1%, Apple's is about 2%. So the people working on these tail projects that drive tail returns have tail careers.